there, everybody. I'm so excited to have this session for you, especially in the darkest part of the year, the winter, December, towards the end of it. We're just over the winter solstice. Days are getting longer, but it is the holiday season. And I know sometimes that can throw our routine a little off. Also, it ends up putting us sometimes in places that we aren't familiar with. And it's a little hard to stick with our routines and do the exercises that are good for our bodies, mind and body, really. So I'm hoping that the session today will give you an opportunity, especially in the first 10 to 15 minutes, to do some standing work that you can do pretty much wherever you are, whether you're at the office, whether you're at home. Even some of these exercises I've done in airports, on airplanes, in public bathroom stalls, like weird places, but sometimes you just have to move. So I hope you find them helpful. And I hope it feels good in your body. And then after we do about 10, 15 minutes of standing exercises, we're going to work our way down to the floor. And this is a no prop routine, but if there's anything that you need to make your body more comfortable, please feel free to grab that. So you might want something to pad your head. We will be on our knees for a portion of it. So you might want to have something to pad your knees. We'll also be in side lying position. So you might want a pillow or a block to support your head. So grab whatever you need to get comfortable. Remember to modify the routine for your own unique and beautiful body and have fun. Don't forget, I love hearing your feedback. So as I'm starting to take this time to reflect on 2022 and make plans for 2023, setting intentions for all the good things to come, I'd love to get some of your feedback on what's working and what might not be working for you within our mindful movement practice and within the membership. So let me know, email me, whatever you need to do to reach out. I would love to hear from you. Take good care of yourselves and hope to see you soon. We're going to start in standing, toes spread nice and wide, finding our alignment in standing posture. Ground down through the soles of the feet, lengthen through the spine, reach your arms up overhead as you take a nice deep inhale. You're going to grab your wrist with the opposite hand and pull your shoulders down the back of the rib cage, and then reach up and over to one side. Getting a nice stretch, breathing into the side of the rib cage. We're going to hold here for one more breath. And then on your exhale, come back through center, switch hands, reach up and over to the other side. And come back up to standing. We're going to do this 2 more times on each side. Shoulder blades slide down the back of the rib cage, grow length into the spine, and then side bend over again. Use your exhale to come back through center, switch your hands, and side bend to the other side. One more time on each side. And palm is facing down towards the floor as you side bend. As you come back up to your tall standing position, it's facing towards midline. Switch hands, root down through the shoulder girdle as you reach up through the fingertips and side bend for the last time here. And then come back through center. That's a really nice one to do just to take a little stretch break after doing activities that might be seated or standing. All right, we're going to ground down through the soles of the feet. Take your attention to your head and just do a couple rolls in one direction, letting your neck release, and switch directions, going the other way. And then take your gaze straight in front of you. Draw your chin in towards your throat. Draw as much length into the back of your neck as you can. And then arms are going to come out in a T position. And then bend the elbows, palms face forward. We're going into cactus arms. And in our cactus arm position, you want your elbows slightly forward of your side body. You want to be able to pull your shoulder blades towards each other, up, out, and down. In, up, out, and down. Continue here, maintaining that 90-degree bend at the elbows. And we're going to hold the down and out position. So pull your shoulder blades down and feel how that connects into your lats. So that's an area that we're going to come back to as we do some of the other exercises. You want to have your shoulder blades down and out to stabilize your shoulders, especially when we're doing things like push-ups. All right, now let's take it the other way. We're going to go up, in towards midline, down, and out. Up, in, down, out. Up, in, down, out. Last time. Up, in, down, out. Keep your shoulder blades wide. Keep your arms in your cactus position. You're just going to shift your weight to one foot and raise your other leg up so that your knees at about hip height and your foot is flexed. A modification might just be bringing a toe to the floor, or you can always hold on to something else to help stabilize you. And then we're going to take palms down towards the floor and up towards the ceiling, or in front of you, I should say. Down towards the floor and back in front of you. So you're getting a little internal rotation and then opening back up through the shoulders. 3, 2, 1. And bring that foot down to the floor, ground down through the sole of the foot, and we're going to switch to the other side. Lifting the leg, flexing the foot, if that's available. You can always choose to do this with both feet rooted down to the floor. And then palms down and facing straight in front of you again. And continuing here. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And then bring your foot to the floor, roll your shoulders back a few times. Nice job. All right. We're going to take our feet just a little bit wider, and we're going to focus on moving through the hips. So your feet are about hip width apart, not wider than your hips. And you're just going to curl your pelvis north like we would do if we're doing pelvic tilts on the floor, and then go south again. So I'm going to give you the side view. You're curling north, and then you're going south. And curling north, pubic bone towards belly button, and then going south. So it's kind of like a tuck of the pelvis, and then you're arching your lower back a bit. And we're going to make the movement bigger than we do when we do pelvic tilts on the floor, but not super big. You don't want to hyperextend your back. And you'll notice that my knees are slightly bent. So you'll want to keep your knees slightly bent too to allow the hips to rock back and forth. One more time. And then we're going to go into little tiny sits bone reaches, or also known as hip hikes. But our focus is the downward movement, pressing down on one side and down on the other. And those of you who have practiced with me for a while, you also know that this is the basic step for merengue dance. It's a type of Latin dance. And this is literally the movement. It's the basic step. 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're doing the same thing, getting a nice stretch through the side body, stretching the quadratus lumborum, the QL, which is a muscle in the lower back that tends to get tight, especially if you tend to hike your hips up. So reach and come back to center. All right, shake it out a little bit. We're going to work on doing knee circles. So we're taking a little outward rotation. We call them knee circles, but the movement actually happens at the hips. So it's going to look like this. The knees kind of circle around, but it's the head of the leg and the hip joint that's actually making the movement happen. So you're circling around, and I'm just using my arms to demonstrate what's happening at the legs. I also kind of think it's fun to move the arms around, so feel free to do that. And now switch directions, going the other way. And you'll probably feel the top of the legs really moving in the cup of the pelvis. I call it juice in the joints. One more time. All right, and coming back to center, lengthen through the spine again. We're going to raise up onto the balls of the feet. So if you need help with balance, find a wall or something else to just hold on to. If you're on carpet, it will be more challenging than if you're on a harder surface. And you're going to lift up onto the balls of the feet and lower back down. We'll add in arms to this starting with our arms out in front of us like you're hugging a big beach ball in front of you, and lift arms overhead as you rise up onto the balls of the feet and lower back down. And you'll notice that I'm doing this slowly. That's intentional. It's hard to hold at the top and slowly, with control, come back down. Lift and lower. 3 more. 3, 2. And last one. And you're welcome to stay right here if you prefer keeping your legs in parallel. Otherwise, you're going to spiral your heels together in Pilates small V. This is also known as first position if you're into ballet. Arms are out in front of you. And same movement with the arms. You're just bending the knees and rising. Exhale as you lift through the pelvic floor as you drop the tailbone down towards the floor, knees bending, and then lengthen through the legs. Squeeze your glutes when you get to the top, coming into full leg extension. Spine is long and shoulder blades still stay wide and drawn down the back of the rib cage as you reach your arms up overhead, which is part of why we did that coronal arm circle exercise, to remind you to keep shoulder blades wide and drawn down the back of the rib cage. Last one here. Beautiful. Now step out so your feet are a little wider, but you're still in external rotation. Tailbone still descends down towards the floor. We'll start with that same position with the arms. We're going to bend the knees, draw the tailbone down, and come back up again. And this time we're going to change the arm direction. So we're going to take the arm out to the side, come back to center. Opposite arm goes out to the side and back to center. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, you can drop down a little lower. Make sure that your knees stay in line with the second toe of the foot. That helps keep your knees aligned so you're not tweaking your knee at all. 3 more for 3. We got to get it on both sides, right? Both arms. 2. And last time on each side. Last one. Beautiful. And we're going to take our arms either down by our sides or to our hips. Take our toes so they're facing forward. We're now back in parallel. And we're going to hinge forward into a wide-legged fold. So some of these, like I said, you may not want to do out in public. This might be one of those. But it feels really good to stretch the back of the legs. And allow your chest to drop down a little closer to the top of the thighs. Bend your knees as much as you need to here. Press down through one hand and then allow the opposite arm to reach up towards the sky, finding rotation here. Lengthen through the spine, sending sits bones back behind you, opening through the heart. And then bring your hand back down to the floor. We'll switch to rotate to the other side. Opposite arm reaches up towards the sky, getting a nice stretch to the front of the shoulder, front of the chest. And then come back through center. One more time on each side. Keep sending your sits bones back behind you so you keep length in the spine as you rotate. Come back to center, switch to the other side. And bring both hands down to the floor. You're welcome to walk your hands up your legs so you can come up in a more supported position. You're welcome to keep your legs in this wide stance or bring them closer together. Whatever way is most comfortable for you. I'm just going to place my hands on my hips and make my way up to standing, but you might find that you need a little bit more support getting there. If you're not already back to sits bone distance apart with your feet, you can heel toe your way in. So we just spent about 10, 12 minutes doing a standing exercise, and you got side bending, you got rotation, you worked your legs, your hips, your shoulders, you released your neck. You did all kinds of really good things in a short period of time, no props, and you basically didn't need anything other than the space right around you. So feel free to come back to that at any point in time. We are going to make our way down to the floor. And we're going to be doing some work in a kneeling position. So this is where you'll probably want to grab a towel, a sweatshirt, a mat. So you can put it underneath your knees if your knees are sensitive. As we transition there, I'm just going to check. I got a message about moving closer to the camera. Okay. All right. So from your kneeling position, I'm just going to put this down just slightly so you can see my knees. We are going to work a little bit more on that side bending. We're also going to work our core and our obliques. So this is the position we start in, and then we're going to take one leg out to the side. Arms are out in a T position, and really spread fingertips nice and wide. Pull your shoulder blades away from each other, and then translate the rib cage. So imagine that you're trying to reach for something over here. You're reaching as far as you can, and then side bend over. We're just going to tap the floor, bring your opposite arm overhead, palm faces the floor, just like it did when we were doing our standing side bend. And then we're going to come back to our start position. We're going to make that movement happen a little faster unless you like it being more slow and intentional. So we're going to side bend over and return. If side bending does not feel awesome for your body, then you are more than welcome to make the movement smaller or modify in any way that serves you better. So this is always a practice in taking good care of yourself and moving in the way that serves you in that moment. 3 more. 3, 2, and last one. Beautiful. So we'll take both hands now, clasp them at the base of the skull, and we're going to get a lot more movement through our rib cage now, or we're going to have to work a lot more through our rib cage. So go ahead and really lengthen through the spine, and then come back to your start position. You can always take your arms back out into a T if that felt better for you. Good. 3 more here. Last one. Beautiful. And now we're going to take our arms back out into that T and side bend over. Keep reaching through that top arm. Set yourself up so that you can support yourself with your bottom leg and arm, and then lift your top leg up. And then flex the foot. Keep your pelvis stable as you bring the leg forward. Point the toes, send the leg back. And flex the foot, bring the leg forward. Point the toes, send the leg back. Good. 2 more. Last one. And then come back to center. Bring your foot down and come back up again. We're going to switch to the other side. I'm going to make an adjustment here so you have an extra chance to do exactly that. Switching to your other side. Arms are going to reach out. Take your opposite leg out. And then again, really set yourself up. Check in with your shoulder blades. Make sure they're drawn nice and wide. Send your opposite leg out as long as you can and root down through the foot. And then when you're ready, you're going to reach for that imaginary thing and side bend over, tapping the floor and then coming back up again. Good. 4 more here for 4, 3, 2, and last one. And then clasp your hands at the base of the skull. Press your head into your hands. Keep length through the back of the neck. And then we'll side bend again. Coming down just as far as feels safe for your body. And really breathing into the side of the rib cage. Letting the intercostal muscles stretch out with the breath. 4 more here. And 3, 2. Last one. Take your arms back out into that T, and we're going over again. Getting a nice reach through the whole upper side body. Keep that reach as you lift the leg up to hip height. And then flex the foot, draw the leg forward. Point the toes, swing the leg back behind you. And flex and point. So as we stabilize the upper body, especially through that bottom shoulder, We're also working hip and ankle mobility of the top leg. All good, important things. One more time. Swinging the leg forward, flexed foot, and the leg back, pointed toes. Come back in line with the side body, and then come back up, nice long spine. We're going to make our way from here onto our backs. We'll come back to some other side body work in a little bit. So make your way onto your back. Lengthen through the spine and find your anchor points here. So back of the head sinks in a little more deeply into the floor, shoulder blades, lower base of the rib cage, sacrum, that triangular bone right at the base of the spine, and your feet. Toes are spread nice and wide, grounded down. And from here, take a nice deep inhale, feel the back of the rib cage expand down into the floor a little bit more. On your exhale, connect with your core, your cylinder of support. We'll take a few breaths just like this. As you exhale, think about lifting through the pelvic floor and creating that cylinder of support by drawing lower belly to spine and engaging the little tiny spinal extensor muscles that run up and down the spine. One more time here. Then reach the arms up towards the sky, palms face in toward each other. And on your next exhale, reach the arms up towards the sky so much that you're lifting both shoulder blades off the floor. And then inhale, let the shoulder blades settle back down into the floor beneath you. Exhale as you reach up. Inhale, breathe into the back of the rib cage as you root down through the shoulders. Exhale, reach up. Inhale, root down. Two more like this, finding those wide shoulders drawn down the back of the rib cage. One more time. We're going to keep our shoulders rooted now as we reach the arms overhead so that the thumbs come down towards the floor behind the head and then reach back up towards the sky. We'll continue here, keeping the arms as straight as possible, keeping the shoulders right where they are. One more time, reaching overhead and then back up towards the sky. And now we'll put those two movements together. So we're reaching up, lifting both shoulder blades, pulling them down. We're reaching arms overhead as far as we can, straight arms, and then back up towards the sky. And up and back down, and then overhead and back up towards the sky. Two more. Lift the shoulder blades away from the floor, lower them back down. Straight arms, reach back behind you, and then reach back up towards the sky. Last time, lifting both shoulder blades and lowering them, keeping them wide and anchored as you draw the arms overhead and then back up towards the sky again. We're going to start with our left arm. Right arm will stay stable. We're going to go into scapular reaches to stretch the upper back. So reach through just the left arm and then spiral the head of the arm away from midline of the body. And then rotate back and pull the shoulder blade down. Switch to the right arm, reaching up, rotating and unwinding and pulling back down again. We're going to alternate one arm at a time. Use your breath to help keep your lower body stable as your torso rotates with the reach of the arm. One more time on each side. Very nice job. All right, take your arms down by your sides. We're going to focus on lumbopelvic stability. So your rib cage and your spine still stay stable, but now we're challenging the lower body, or specifically your lower spine and your pelvis staying stable by moving the weight of your legs. So bring one leg into tabletop. And if it feels comfortable, you'll bring the other leg into tabletop also. If this gets into your lower back at all or just doesn't feel good in your body, you'll bring your other foot back down to the ground. That'll help you stay more stable. So you choose your starting position. The right leg is going to be the one that's moving. On your exhale, pull into your core and then lower your right leg down to the floor and back up again. We're going to stay on that right leg for 5, 4, tapping your toe down like you're dipping it into water and then pulling it right back out again. 2 more for 2. And last one. Switch to the left leg. Left leg is going to tap down. You're hinging from the hip, keeping the 90-degree bend at the knee the whole time. That's it. 4 more. 4. Pelvis is your anchor. I forget how many we've done, but we're going to do 2 more. 2. And last one. And then you might take your feet down and wide and just windshield wiper your legs from side to side. If you like drawing your knees in towards your chest, that feels like a nice back release. Go ahead and do that. Or any other pose that just gives you a little break before we go into opposing arms and legs. So for opposing arms and legs, that was the break, by the way. For opposing arms and legs, arms reach up towards the sky, palms face inward, one leg at a time, comes into tabletop. You can always do this in a more supportive way by keeping one leg down if that's necessary. Otherwise, both legs come up. And on your exhale, you're really scooping lower belly towards your spine, staying stable in your spine as right arm and left leg reach long. And then come back to center. Exhale as you switch to the other side. Inhale back to center. So arm and leg move, that's the easy part. The challenging part is keeping your trunk stable. So that includes rib cage, spine, and pelvis. One more time on this side. And then if you need to take a break, take a break. Otherwise, we're going to take the heels of the hands and place them on the tops of the thighs and press the thighs into the hands. Meet the pressure by pressing back your hands into the thighs. Pelvis stays in neutral. You should feel your lower abs working really hard just to keep the pressure between the palm of your hands and the top of the thighs. Keep that pressure as you reach same side, right arm, right leg away from each other into extension. And then come back, meet that pressure again, switch to the other side. So the first exercise we did with opposite arms and legs was a core strengthening exercise. This exercise is the next level up for core strengthening. I like doing both of them because it works not just our body, but our brain in different ways. One more time on each side. Draw your knees in towards your chest and rock from side to side here. If you prefer windshield wiper legs, do that, or anything that feels good right now. We're going to go into bridging next, and we're going to work our way into rolling bridges by first going into north-south tilts, very similar to what we did from a standing position. So let's begin by keeping spine nice and long, arms rest by our sides. Take a nice deep inhale to draw more length into the spine, and on your exhale, curl your pelvis north. Inhale, tip the pelvis south, pubic bone goes towards the back of the heels. As you exhale, curl north again, pubic bone towards belly button, and then go south. You're rocking back and forth with the same ease you would rocking in a rocking chair. So it's a subtle movement. I actually do more than I would in my own practice just so you can see that I'm moving on camera. And now we're going to add on. So when we do normal pelvic tilts, we're trying to use our pelvic floor and not engage our glutes. So we're trying not to squeeze our butt. But as we go into bridging, that's exactly what we need to do to get the lift of the hips up off of the floor. So I want to be really meticulous about how we do this. All right. On your next exhale, you're going to curl your pelvis north and imprint your lower spine into the floor. And then start to peel your sacrum, that triangular bone in between the two ears of the pelvis. Start to peel that bone up off of the floor, but keep your lower back rooted down. So you're in a pretty deep tuck of the pelvis. And now come back to your neutral pelvis. We're going to do that 2 more times. So you're curling, peeling the sacrum off of the floor, but imprinting your lower spine down into the floor. And then return. Last time. So if you have a lot of arch in your lower back, this is a good one to practice long before you go into any bridging. We're going to make our way into bridging now. On your exhale, co-contract, that coordinated contraction of your core muscles. Pull pubic bone towards belly button and peel 1 vertebra at a time up off of the floor, coming up into your bridge. Open through the front of the hips. Stay soft in the chest. So both shoulders stay rooted down to the floor. The lift comes from squeezing your glutes. Lengthen through the top of the thighs. Send the knees out as though they're going to go right over the second toe of the foot, and then roll back down slowly and with control. Well done. We're going to do 2 more of those. Exhale, co-contract, curl up. Hold here. Take your arms up towards the sky. Keep shoulder blades wide. Draw your arms overhead like we did before. Arms go back up towards the sky. Hips stay lifted. Bring arms back behind you. We're going to do this 1 more time. Arms go back behind you. Back up toward the sky, and you're welcome to take your arms right back down by your sides or leave them reaching up towards the sky as you roll back down, 1 vertebra at a time. We're going to play with marching in our next bridge, so you might want to bring your arms back down towards your sides unless you know that you can have your arms up while you march in place. On your exhale, co-contract, curl north, rolling up 1 vertebra at a time, taking your time to get all the way to the full height of your bridge. Glutes are firmly engaged. Hips stay square to the sky the whole time. That's really important. So you might even place your hands right on the front of the hips. And then root down through the left foot and float your right leg into a tabletop position. And then bring it down to the floor, hips still stay steady, and switch to the other leg. So you're now marching in place. We're going to do 3 times on each side. But if you find that your hips are starting to shift with the movement of the leg, I would recommend coming back down or making the movement smaller. You just might lift the foot 1 inch or so off the floor. Find your neutral spine again, and then roll back down 1 vertebra at a time, all the way back to your start position. Lovely. All right, so that's back body work. We worked spinal extensor muscles, glutes, hamstrings. You might have even felt that in your calves. Let's roll to one side. We're back in side body again. If you need anything to support your head in this position, go ahead and grab that. Otherwise, you might find that your arm does a beautiful job of supporting the head in this position. You have everything you need right here. Okay. Bottom leg can be bent or straight. It really depends upon what is most comfortable for you. Shoulders are stacked, and I think I'm going to bend my elbow. That feels like I can stack my shoulders better. All right, we're working the top leg here. Take your leg up to hip height. I actually like to do this with both legs straight. I just want you to see you can bend that bottom knee. All right, you've seen it. Now I'm going to do it my way. Hips are stacked. Lift your leg up to hip height and let the foot relax. We're going to do little leg circles here. The foot is relaxed because oftentimes, or let me rephrase that. I would like for you to relax your foot so that you have more work happening in your hip. Sometimes holding tension in the ankle joint will take some of the work out of the hip joint, but our goal here is to work the hip. So we're getting a little tiny massaging action in the hip joint. We're keeping our top side body nice and long. And now let's switch the direction of our circles to go the other way. Beautiful. Last circle here. And keep your leg at hip height. You can now flex the foot and internally rotate the leg. So hips still stay stacked, legs internally rotated. We're going to lift up and lower back down. Lift and lower. Good. So this internal rotation is really more of the challenge than the lifting action is. They're both really good for working that outer hip, but we're also really working on just maintaining the ability to internally rotate the leg. Last one here. And then of course, we've got to find our external rotation. So we're going to do that with ballerina leg. You're going to reach through the heels and squeeze the back of the heels together, coming into Pilates small V. We were in this position in a standing position earlier. So now we're going to start from this position and then point the toes of the top foot. Trace the inside line of the bottom leg. Stay long through the top side body, and then reach the leg up towards the sky. Flex the foot and squeeze the heels together. And point, trace, reach, flex, and squeeze. Point, trace, reach, flex, squeeze. 3 more. Trace, reach, flex, squeeze, and 2 more. Reach, flex, squeeze. Last one's the best one. And squeeze the heels together. Well done. Let's flip to the other side. As you get yourself situated, and I get myself situated so that you can still hear me, we are going to make sure that both of the hips are stacked and shoulders are stacked. We'll just put that right there. Okay, nice long top side body. And then take your top leg up to hip height. Let the foot relax so that the hip is doing the work. Little tiny circles here. So side lying isn't the most comfortable position for everyone, particularly for necks, which is why I encourage you to support your head and make sure that it's supported enough so that you can really relax the neck. But part of the reason it's so important to do work in this position is because, well, number one, a lot of us are kind of unaware that we even have a side body. We're so used to moving frontwards, but also it's part of that core cylinder of support. Switch the direction of your circles. Side body is really important also for maintaining balance, not just balance between different muscles in your body, but also just being able to stand upright without falling over. So that's why I try to incorporate some side body work into each of our sessions. And that's why I'm sharing it with you, because I hope that you will do the same in your own personal fitness routine. All right, one more circle here. And then reach through the leg. Now we'll flex the foot and internally rotate from the top of the leg in the hip joint. Lift the leg and lower here. And lift and lower. And when we lower, we're just lowering back to our starting place, hip height. So give yourself credit. You are working in both directions. Your hip might have already told you that though. 5 more here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. And now externally rotate the legs. Both feet are flexed for this one. You're balancing on the bottom toes of your bottom foot. And then point the toes of the top foot, trace the bottom leg, reach up towards the sky, flex the foot, and pull the top heel down into the bottom heel. Point, trace, reach, flex, squeeze. Point, trace, reach, flex, squeeze. We'll continue here 4 more. And 3, 2, and last one. Beautiful. And a little rest here. We're going to make our way up into a seated position. So find your seated position with your legs forward in front of you. If you need to borrow a pillow or a blanket or something to help support you, getting your hips up a little higher than your legs, I would do that. You can also just sit in a chair. So lots of different options here. We're working on getting rotation. I'm going to give you the side view here. So if legs out in front of you works for you, great. If not, you're going to modify for your body. We're going to start by squeezing inner thighs together, lengthening through the spine, grounding down through the sits bones and taking our arms out into a T position. And then you're going to rotate to one side of the room, come back through center, and rotate to the other side. Now, I know some of you are dealing with back issues, and rotation may not feel awesome right now. If that's the case, then you just rotate what you can as far as you can. Don't push yourself past what's healthy for you today. One more time to each side. Come back through center. Take your legs wider if that's an option. And we're going to go into saw. So arms start in that T position. We go into rotation, and then we hinge forward from the hips, sending the pinky side of the hand towards the pinky of the opposite foot. Opposite arms reaching back behind you as much as possible. And then hinge back up, rotate through center and to the other side. And then hinge forward, nice long spine. We're going to continue here. Even as you hinge forward, you're rooting down through your sits bones. So if you're sitting in a chair, you might be reaching forward and you're reaching down towards the floor to touch the opposite foot. You might just stick with the rotation. You got lots of different options here. One more time, over to the other side. Back through center. And then draw the legs together and find the most comfortable position for you for closing out. So for me, I always like to kneel. Some of you are really comfortable cross-legged. Again, chair is totally appropriate too. Ground down through your sits bones and lengthen through your spine. Just take a moment to close your eyes, taking your attention inward. And as we take our last few breaths together here today, give yourself a little bit of self-love and appreciation. You just did a pretty awesome routine that got all kinds of movement introduced into your body. Well done. And as you go through the rest of your day today and throughout the weekend, I hope that you can hold some of the breath work and some of the movement practice within your body, knowing that it is capable and that you can always come back to any of these movement patterns to help stretch things out, find more strength, create more balance as you go through your days. On your next inhale, sweep arms up overhead, filling the bases of the lungs with air. On your exhale, bring palms together and to heart center. Thank you all so much for being here today. It's great to see some new faces. And I'll send you a little invite to unmute if you'd like to say goodbye. Otherwise, if you just got to get on with your day, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a beautiful weekend, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much, everybody.